Welcome to Drunk Bible Study. This show's mission is to read every single word of the greatest story ever told. A warning to our listeners, the hosts of this show are sinners, but they're doing their best. There will be drinking and there may be some swears. They did say they'd try to keep it clean, but I wouldn't put my money on it.
I'm Emily, and this is Drunk Bible Study, where my good friends Dedeker and Jace teach me, a born and raised atheist, all about the Bible. So Jace, Dedeker, how are we doing today? And we also have a special guest.
Yeah, we're doing very well because we have a special guest, Brian G. Murphy from queertheology.com. Thanks for being here, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we also roped Brian into doing an episode of Multiamory with us, which is going to come out next week. But right now, we wanted to have some fun reading the Bible with someone who probably is more
knows
qualified.
Knows a thing or two.
Yeah. Who's more qualified than these three drunk yahoos. But Brian, you are drinking though, right? So
I am drinking.
Okay,
yeah.
perfect.
Oh, thank goodness.
Okay, but other than the drinking,
we're all in this together.
Why are you here, Brian? Why are you on this show? What qualifies you to be here? Prove your worthiness to be here drinking with us, talking about the Bible.
So as y'all said, I'm one of the co-founders of queertheology.com, which brings a queer perspective to Christianity. And rather than trying to prove that it's okay to be LGBTQ, looks at what queerness has to offer the Christian faith and how our queerness enriches that and is a blessing to the church and the whole wide world. I studied religion in college and then did some faith-based LGBTQ activism, going to Christian colleges all across the country to talk about why they discriminate against queer people and to stand up for that. And on some of the campuses, they said, great, come on, we'll have discussion groups and Bible studies. And at some of them, they said, we'll arrest you if you come on. And I've been doing queer Christian education, organizing, activism ever since.
So you got out of prison?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was the video person, so I never actually got arrested. I just videotaped all of my friends. I told the police, don't arrest me. I'm just the video guy.
Did you actually?
Wow. Yeah, in the beginning I was very law abiding, but then I just got more and more I don't give a fuck. I don't care. And so I got more gutsy as the campaign went on.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Wow. And here you are.
Here you are. We're glad that you were able to get out on bail to come be on this show.
So my question is this. If I were to say the words that last week we read, what was it, Deuteronomy 8, 9, 10? Or was it just, it was 8, 9, 10. Would you know what happened? Probably better than I do. No? Okay.
Not a freaking superhero,
I don't have the whole Bible completely committed to memory.
In the episode that we just did on Multiamory, you were like, this passage said this, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I must all be in there. So.
I know a lot of it, but not all of it.
Right.
I was talking to my
Deuteronomy chapters.
I was talking to my queertheology.com co-founder earlier today, and I was like, do you have anything to say about Deuteronomy 11 through 13? And he was like, I have no idea. Deuteronomy is, I would have to look it up.
Well, Brian, you're going to have some things to say by the time we get to the end of this episode today.
I'm sure I will.
Yeah, but before we dive into that, Emily, do you remember what happened last time?
Yeah, Emily, when I say to you, Deuteronomy 8 through 10...
I remember that Moses was saying some stuff, more recap type stuff regarding the 10 Commandments, his breaking of them, and the golden calf came up again. And he was talking about how they were all bad boys and girls and they were worshiping it for a hot second and it wasn't cool, man. And then, I don't know, that was pretty much it. And then they were he said something about being fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. Was that it? Was it fasting?
Yeah.
And he fell on his face a lot.
For the first time started mentioning how many fasts he's done. which were not mentioned before. And so we suspect that maybe there's a little bit of some exaggeration on the part of Moses.
Well, one of them was mentioned
like
before. It did talk about him not eating or drinking for 40 days, but then in this retelling, he didn't eat or drink for 40 days on the mountain, then came back down.
Also off the mountain?
Then came back down, saw the calf, and then fell on his face and lay there fasting for another 40 days, not drinking or eating.
Everyone thought he was dead and just like walked over him. No, I don't know.
And then he went back up into the mountain and fasted again. I think it was like three fasts in a row.
Yes, that's how he came up with the body by Moses diet that involves
my gosh.
Like intermittent fasting with interval training, but like to the extreme of like intermittent fast for 40 days and then do some interval training up and down a mountain.
Right.
And then you'll look great.
Body by Moses.
Wow.
And he'll live to be 100 something.
Do you remember how Batman came into play? Does that ring any bells?
Oh, do I? Wait, how did Batman?
Do you remember? Because there are Batman-necked people.
The stiff-necked.
Yes.
They couldn't, just like Batman, they couldn't move their heads in their stiff suits. In their stiff Batman suits. I don't know why they were stiff-necked, but they were somehow.
Oh, because they're stubborn, you know.
Yeah,
they're stubborn. They don't learn.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They didn't have like some ailment going on. They didn't need to go see a chiropractor or anything.
Not
they
that
just
we
were
know
stiff-necked.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
We also, this was also kind of the first time where Moses was talking a lot about how much, one, like Yahweh loves everybody a lot. Like love has been talked about more now than it has in the past few books. And then also, kind of mixing together the carrot with the stick, right? Where he was like, and this land that you're going to get is going to be so dope. There's going to be cream and milk and like meat and
honey,
crops and honey. It's going to be so dope. But if you don't do these things, actually you're going to get wiped off the face of the earth. So it's kind of that like, kind of playing both sides of that to get people to fall in line.
Yeah. All right. Well, what are we doing today? Deuteronomy 11, 12, and 13?
Yeah.
So 3 chapters today?
What are we drinking today is the most important question.
Yes, please, everyone.
Well, I will begin. I panicked because I realized I didn't have any alcohol in the house, but quickly pulled together just a little bit of whiskey with some tonic water, which is kind of an interesting combination, but very refreshing. So that's what I'm drinking. What are you drinking,
Whiskey
Emily?
is alcohol.
Yeah. But I didn't have like a beer or anything on hand. I had to dig around in the back of a dusty cupboard and found some whiskey. So, like you do.
I see. Well, I'm wearing my Yes Way. Yeah, wait, no, damn it. Yeah, Rosé all day shirt and drinking Yes Way Rosé.
Great.
Oh, I see.
While
now I
doing
understand
that.
why that was confusing. Okay.
Yes, it was confusing because the rosé is called Yes Way Rosé. I don't know why it's called that. It doesn't even really make sense. I guess like No Way Jose instead
it's like
of
the Wayne's World thing where they're like yes way instead of the no way.
I see. Okay. Yeah. So it's Yes Way Rosé instead of No Way Jose. Yeah, it's good. It's fine. It's a rosé. What are you drinking?
I found a new flavor of Chuhai today, which is part of the Strong Zero brand, classic. But this one is called Double Orange is the flavor.
Will you tell Brian what a Chuhai is?
Yeah.
Because he's in Japan right now.
I'm in Japan right now, yeah. And a Chuhai...
I'm wearing a shirt from Japan.
Oh, nice.
Oh, really? You're like, oh, I didn't know you were in Japan. Yeah.
Are you familiar with Chuhais then?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So Chuhais are like, it's kind of like if you could imagine a Mike's Hard Lemonade type like flavored alcoholic beverage, but that's good. It's like that.
Fair.
But
So no, he can't imagine that.
I know, no one can. But it comes, yeah. But it comes in a ton of different flavors, and there's usually new ones that come out each season. So this is one of the new flavors that they were advertising in the store, which is Double Orange. And it says specifically on here that this is like a real fruit feeling. Not that it's real fruit in it, but that it's
fruit feeling.
a real fruit feeling.
It has the feeling, the mouth
100%
feel
real
of a fruit.
At least that's how I read
Wow.
this. It's Kajitsukan.
That's real fruit. That's fruit. That's just fruit feeling.
Oh, well,
it's not a real fruit feeling.
Shikari ka
Okay.
Itsukan. So it's like a
I think that's
refreshing
still more,
fruit feeling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Something like that.
Anyway, this is an episode of Drunk Japanese Study, which is will be our new podcast. Brian, what are you drinking?
Brian
today?
lived in Japan.
Yeah.
6 months. I am drinking. And when I moved to LA, I decided tequila was going to be my drink. So I'm drinking a homemade margarita.
I thought you were going to say a homemade tequila that you brewed up in your bathtub.
I distilled this agave fruit.
I'm also a moonshiner.
I stole the cactus from my neighbor's garden.
And created this lovely tequila.
Lovely.
That's awesome.
That does sound delightful, though. Also, welcome to LA.
Yeah, it's so good to be here. I went to USC out here in LA many years ago and just moved back within the past year, and it's been amazing.
Nice.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Awesome.
you've only been here for a year. Wow.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
just like rediscovered as a grown up, which is different.
Lovely.
That's awesome.
Than being 22.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Let's read the Bible. So today we're reading, as we said, Deuteronomy 11, 12, and 13. As we get started, we want to remind all of our listeners to read responsibly and drink responsibly.
And you can drink along with us, or you can listen to us while you're in the car.
But please do not do both at the same time.
All right, kids. So I volunteered as tribute to go ahead and start us off with our first chapter here with Deuteronomy 11.
Also, Brian, we didn't ask you. Do you have you're all set with your Bible? And do you have the world?
I should have. I have the Bible that I had as an evangelical Christian with all my highlighting in the other room, but I forgot to bring it out.
That's so good.
No, it's
But
fine.
I found it in a box in an attic. But I have all of them on BibleGateway.com.
Perfect. We're reading the World English Bible, just so you know which translation we're doing.
I know it's weird, we know, but it doesn't have any copyright issues, so we won't get sued.
Because you know that the NIV would try to shut us down.
That's what we were reading, but yeah. All
I
right.
don't know how to find it. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Deuteronomy 11. Therefore, you shall love Yahweh your God and keep his charge and his statutes and his ordinances and his commandments always. Know you this day, for I don't speak with your children who have not known and who have not seen the chastisement of Yahweh your God, his greatness.
The chastisement? What a word.
Yeah, the chastisement.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. His greatness, his mighty hand, and his outstretched arm, and his signs, and his works, which he did in the midst of Egypt to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and to all his land. Oh, this sentence just keeps on going. And what he did to the army of Egypt, to their horses, and to their chariots. How he made the water of the Red Sea to overflow them as they pursued after you. And how Yahweh has destroyed them to this day. He did not let them come back from the dead. They're still destroyed.
They're still destroyed.
Yeah, like, that's, wait, that kind of like makes one think that he's continuing to destroy them to this day.
I believe it. It's some eternal punishment.
Wow, okay.
And what he did to you in the wilderness until you came to this place. And what he did to Dathan and Abiram. Do you remember what happened to those two fellows?
I remember Abiram, but I don't know about Dathan, like Nathan with a D.
I remember the name.
I sure don't.
You remember the name? Wow.
Weren't these the two defectors or mutinous?
Right, yes.
Mutinous peoples?
The defectors of what?
They were the ones who were like, dude, Moses and Aaron, why are you in charge? We should be in charge maybe instead. And then God
really?
Opened up the earth and swallowed them up in fire. Them and
yes,
all
this was part of the legend of Korah.
Oh, okay,
they were part of Korah's whole group of friends there. Yes,
I see. Okay.
And what he did to Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, the son of Reuben, how the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up. See, there we go.
Yeah.
And their households and their tents and every living thing that followed them in the midst of all Israel. But your eyes have seen all the great work of Yahweh, which he did. Therefore shall you keep all the commandment which I command you this day, that you may be strong and go in and possess the land where you go over to possess it, and that you may prolong your days in the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers to give to them and to their seed. Sorry, Emily. A land flowing with milk and honey,
I just don't like that it's called like it's just constantly their seed, their seed, their seed.
So we're still in this holding pattern of he keeps being like, yeah, you're today you're going to go in and possess this land, but we're still sitting through this long drawn out monologue of all the reminders and bylaws and caveats to make sure that when you do possess it, you do it in the right way and you don't mess anything up when you're over there.
Yeah, is that it, Brian? Like, why does he have to why does he have to do a recap here? We're like, what's up with this big old recap? When is he going to stop that?
Well, so Moses didn't actually write this book. So
surprise.
Lots of different people. There's actually a few different sort of like independent strains that get woven together in this. So, and that's true of a lot of the books of the Bible, especially in the Hebrew Bible. So sometimes when there's like stuff repeating, it's because it's like a different author's version of the story.
Okay.
And so it's like their sort of take on what happens, which is sometimes the same and sometimes very different. And then also just sort of like, I was going to say if you've ever been to church, but you probably haven't. Like sometimes you just have to like you know, like rhetoric is like repeating stuff over and over again to like emphasize like important stuff. And in particular, like being in exile is like a recurring theme in the Hebrew Bible and sort of like what that means as sort of like this sort of Israelite identity and sort of where God is found and who God is with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's like very important. It's like pay attention to this because we keep talking about it.
Because I'm going to say it to you 5 times.
But it does sometimes get sort of repetitive.
A little bit, yeah. But I do appreciate it because there have definitely been moments when the two of them are like, what, you don't remember that? And I'm like, yeah, I haven't had 20 plus years of Bible thrown in my face to remember something like that that's really obscure to me. But to the two of them, it's not at all. So, yeah, that's good to know.
I'm going to bring us back in with verse 10. For the land where you go in to possess it isn't as the land of Egypt, from whence you came out, where you sowed your seed and watered it with your foot.
I think this time he's being literal.
What?
As a garden
How does
of
one
herbs.
water anything with one's foot?
Yeah, Jace, you want to look up another translation?
Okay.
Brian, do you have your NIV out?
Brian, this is the thing. We're going to be looking to you for anything, any shred of understanding that we can get. So you got to give us something.
Just not a Hebrew scholar, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I have my Bible here.
On every word on command translations.
Yes.
I'm Google Translate.
Brian, while we're looking up translations here, do you have a favorite translation you use? Do you use like the Common English Bible or something?
We use the Common English Bible on the Queer Theology podcast, where we give a queer take on a different Bible passage every week. So we generally use CEB. It's a good mix of like accurate translation with like accessible language.
Here's what the Common English Bible says. It says the land you're about to enter.
I have it too.
The land you're about to enter and possess is definitely not like the land of Egypt where you came from, where you sowed your seed and irrigated it by hand like a vegetable garden.
Oh.
Okay, so by foot, they actually meant hand.
But in NIV, they say foot as well.
Here, I'll say you watered it on foot, where you had your little sprinkling can and had to kind of go up and down the rows.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Okay.
No, NIV says the land you are entering. Wait, is that it? The land you are entering to take over is not like the land of Egypt from which you have come, where you planted your seed and irrigated it by foot as in a vegetable garden. So it's almost the same, but just by foot.
So he's implying that this land you're about to go into has a really sick irrigation system. Don't even worry about
so
it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Pre-installed.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. But the land where you go over to possess it is a land of hills and valleys and drinks water of the rain of the sky.
Oh, I see.
So it gets rained on enough.
It actually has rain. That's what he means.
Literal rain.
Yes. Okay.
Sometimes the Bible should be read literally.
Sometimes.
A land which Yahweh your God cares for. The eyes of Yahweh your God are always on it, from the beginning of the year even to the end of the year. Okay,
He's
so definitely some
it.
kind of temperate growing zone.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't realize Canaan was so lush.
Yeah, I kind of associate that whole region with just desert and more desert, but I guess there's got to be some reason why you'd want to occupy it so badly. We're not, harvesting oil fields quite yet at this point.
That's true. Yeah.
It shall happen, if you shall listen diligently to my commandments, which I command you this day, to love Yahweh your God, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that I will give the rain of your land in its season, the former rain and the latter rain, that you may gather in your grain and your new wine and your oil.
Does that mean like both spring rain and fall rain, or like what? The
multiple
latter?
Rainy seasons. Yes. Okay.
The rain that has happened and the rain that will happen.
Yes.
I don't know.
I will give grass in your fields for your cattle, and you shall eat and be full. Take heed to yourselves, lest your heart be... here it comes. That was the carrot. Here comes the stick. Yeah, same pattern. Okay. Take heed to yourselves, lest your heart be deceived, and you turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. And the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you, and he shut up the sky, so that there shall be no rain. Yep. Yeah. And the land shall not yield its fruit, and you perish quickly from off the good land which Yahweh gives you. Yeah.
Yikes.
So it's the same thing that we were talking about last time of you set up this really intense set of standards that really no group of people could probably live up to perfectly. So then it's an easy justification for when the drought does come, that you can be like, well, it's your own fault for worshiping Molech and sacrificing babies and stuff like that.
I don't know how many babies they're sacrificing at this point, but I guess they did it.
Other people are. If Molech is a god, the neighbors are sacrificing babies, or at least that's what we're being told. Yeah,
that's true. That's what the RPR people are telling us, is that they're sacrificing babies. Actually, Brian, I do have a question for you about this. So something that for me, Dedeker and I both have not read the Bible all the way through, but we were raised with Christian teachings and stuff like that. And reading through the Old Testament has been especially interesting, I think, because I did some reading of my own of some things in the New Testament and things like that, when I was in college. But the Old Testament's been really fascinating because it's not something I've really spent much time reading. And something that's surprised me about it is how much the existence of other gods is acknowledged from Genesis through to now. And only recently in the Old Testament did Yahweh start saying things, or maybe Moses or Yahweh via Moses saying things about those gods not being real. But up until this point, they've been talked about just like Yahweh is one of many gods, just happens to be the coolest one for these people.
Yeah, that is you just sort of discerned what is happening, all on your own somehow.
Good
job. Really, all you have to do is just read the Bible.
So most sort of scholars think that this was, not to get too academic, was written around 7th century BCE,
right?
And what was happening there is different parts of Israelites were sort of merging into one place. They were fleeing persecution. And so this is kind of Deuteronomy is, have you seen Hamilton, kind of a rap battle where
ooh, yes.
Now you have our attention.
Yeah. And we're back. And we're back.
The authors of the various parts of Deuteronomy are sort of making the case for their God. And so up until this point, and it's been a minute, so I forget, but there was 2 kingdoms of Israel and one of Judah, and they're all sort of Hebrew people. And in one of them, it was more sort of our God is the best of the many gods, or the God that we choose to worship. And the other folks sort of had a more no, actually, our God is the only God. And so this passage in a lot of Deuteronomy is sort of making the case for, no, actually, Yahweh is it. And so they're sort of, this is religio-political propaganda happening, all in the form of this story about back in the day.
It has kind of felt like political propaganda campaigning, political propaganda a little bit. So that makes sense that it's which of the presidents of the God clubs are the best,
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to ask, have the Christians appropriated Hamilton yet?
Oh.
It's only a matter of time.
It's only a matter of time because when I was growing up, that was the hot thing to do, was to take especially especially to take pop songs of the day and rewrite them with Christian lyrics so that Christian parents could have something to give their kids to listen to that they could feel okay about.
I was really involved with this evangelical Christian organization called Young Life, and one of their big things was taking brand logos of popular brands and transforming them into the Young Life
copyright
logo. So we had
infringement.
John Deere hats, but they were actually Young Life hats, or Adidas, but it was actually Young Life. And if you looked, it was 4 lines instead of 3, and it was facing the other direction, but it was definitely ripping off of popular brands.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Those were all over the Christian bookstores growing up. It was super popular.
Yep.
Anyway, we can talk about that a little bit more later. Let's get back to the rap battle, shall we? Therefore, shall you lay up these words in your heart and in your soul, and you shall bind them for a sign on your hand, and they shall be for symbols between your eyes. So that was the tefillin we talked about last time in the last bonus content. Being
I thought there was the Triforce, a sign on his hand.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of, almost.
But
sure,
it's the little
I'll allow
boxes, the little leather boxes.
Yeah, the tefillin.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I remember now. Thank you. Yeah.
You shall teach them your children, talking of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up.
So
you shall write them just
up.
anytime. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. So, Emily, if I say the word mezuzah to you, does that mean anything?
Not a ding-dong thing. It sounds like Azusa, which I know is a Christian college in Los Angeles.
Close. Very, very close. Very, very close. If I say mezuzah to either you, Jason, Brian, does that mean anything?
I have one on my door, actually.
Oh, okay. You know. Can you explain Can you explain what it is?
Yeah. So it's a thing that many, but not all Jewish folks do. And so the mezuzah is a piece of scroll, a parchment that has a portion of the Torah written on it, and then is rolled up and put in this little decorative box that you affix to your doorpost.
I've seen that on Sex and the City.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There you go.
What? Charlotte put it on her door.
And there was
after she became Jewish.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that you were going to be like, oh yeah, when I go to my Jewish friend's house, I've seen that, but no,
Sex in the City. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
There was one on my door when I moved in, and my Jewish friends said I should take care of it and not take it down.
Oh,
so that's
nice. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Probably
cool.
safer to take care of it rather than rip it off your doorpost and throw it in the garbage. Okay. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates, that your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children, in the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers to give them, as the days of the heavens above the earth. For if you shall diligently keep all this commandment which I command you, to do it, to love Yahweh your God, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave to him, then will Yahweh drive out all these nations from before you, and you shall dispossess nations greater and mightier than yourselves. Okay.
So
every place, yes, Jace.
I was gonna say something silly. You can go ahead.
Oh
no, say it. You gotta say it.
Say it. No, yeah. Now you gotta. Yeah. It better be really silly.
Well, I was just gonna say, so this translation uses cleave to Yahweh a lot, and I was just thinking about that I should start incorporating that into my vocab more. If I want to cuddle or something, I'd be like, hey, baby, let me cleave to you for a little bit.
I like that.
Some evangelical Christians use that word, so you might be putting out signals you don't. Yeah.
Within a cuddling context?
No, definitely not.
Wait, in what context?
I don't know.
Just cleaving. Actually, kind of cleaving to your wife, or
almost a cuddling context.
Yeah.
Just mean committing.
Yeah, this is sort of metaphoric sort of bonding.
It's funny because in my head, cleave is something you do when you cut with a sword. And so it's the opposite.
You cleave someone's head from their body.
Right. Yeah, or he was cleaved in twain, right? To me, so it's funny that this word means also essentially the opposite of that. But, language.
Well, when we get on multilinguisticery, then we can talk about that. Okay.
Drunk English study is what it would be called, but yes.
Verse 24, every place whereon the sole of your foot shall tread shall be yours, from the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, Even to the hinder sea shall be your border.
The hinder
sea. There shall no man be able to stand before you. Yahweh your God shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you on all the land that you shall tread on, as he has spoken to you. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. What do y'all think it's going to be?
Here we go.
Predictions. What's the blessing? What's the curse? Don't look ahead.
Well, just it's a blessing because, he's giving them all these amazing things, but if they don't do it, then they're all going to perish in a very tragic, horrifying manner.
Which kind of tragic, horrifying manner do you think?
I don't know. The sea will swallow them. They'll lose their cattle and die of starvation. Something
what about
of those lines.
Serpents? Those fire serpents again.
Oh, the
those
fire
were cool.
serpents.
Yeah.
Dog's gonna run away.
Or a whole new way that we haven't even encountered yet that God will just think of and be like, cool, let's try this one.
It's like, I haven't messed them up this way before. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I looked up what the Hinder Sea is. It's the Mediterranean.
The Hinder Sea.
Yeah, the one that's over yonder. The Western Sea is also what it's called in some translations, but it's the Mediterranean.
That sea in the back there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Hinder.
And yonder
the
sea.
The blessing. If you shall listen to the commandments of Yahweh your God, which I command you this day. Oh, and the curse. If you shall not listen, I'm just confused. Okay. He's giving the conditions first.
Okay.
The blessing. In parentheses.
I see. A blessing and a curse.
See, okay.
The blessing colon would be
if you
better.
do these things.
Okay. Got it.
And the curse, if you shall not listen to the commandments of Yahweh your God, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day to go after other gods which you have not known.
Okay.
It shall happen when Yahweh your God shall bring you into the land where you go to possess it, that you shall set the blessing on Mount Gerizim and the curse on Mount Ebal, if you know what I mean.
No, I don't.
No, I don't know what you mean, and I don't know what he means by set the blessing on and the curse on these mountains.
I'm going to read one more verse and see if that makes any sense.
Okay.
And if it doesn't,
grab a ball of blessing and a ball of curse and throw it on these mountaintops.
Grab the pokeballs of blessing and the pokeballs of curse and toss them on the mountains. Aren't they beyond the Jordan, behind the way of the going down of the sun?
This translation.
I know.
It's real something, ain't it?
I love it.
Public domain.
The way of the going down of the sun in the land of the Canaanites who dwell in the Arabah over against Gilgal, besides the oaks of Moreh? ? Aren't they there though, Jace?
Oh, I see. Aren't they there though? Well,
aren't they there?
Here's what's funny. So I'm looking up other translations for you, as we love to do, and even Dedeker, your blessed the Message Bible says, "Here's." I'm going to do it in the conversational tone of the Message Bible.
Okay.
Here's what comes next. When God, your God, brings you into the land you are going into to make it your own, you are to give out the blessing from Mount Gerizim and the curse from Mount Ebal. It's not any clearer.
Oh, even the Message couldn't clarify it.
Wow.
As our saying
give
goes,
it out?
If the Message can't clarify it, no one can.
Nobody can clarify it. Do you have any hints, Brian?
I unfortunately don't, other than to say that, we're not, it's not surprising that we don't understand this, right? Because the authors of this book weren't trying to write down some sort of timeless moral truth. They were sort of engaged in
just
evangelizing and politicizing about what was going on in their day, in their time, in their place, and sort of creating this epic history of the past. And so the readers of this would have understood it and been like, oh yeah, I know that place and I know that place. And so
and maybe they would have been like, well, I know the kind of people who live around Mount whatever, so it makes sense we're going to give out our curses from there and we're going to put the blessings over here.
I know about those Ibalian people.
Which is with translations, if you translate it literally, sometimes it's we don't understand the meaning, and so we miss it.
Right.
And I don't have the solution for this one, but
we'll just keep rolling along.
Okay.
Verse 31, for you are to pass over the Jordan to go in to possess the land which Yahweh your God gives you, and you shall possess it and dwell therein. You shall observe to do all the statutes and the ordinances which I set before you this day. That's the end of that chapter.
Alrighty.
Wow. All right, Emily, let's keep going.
Okay, so Deuteronomy 12. Let's do this. These are the statutes and the ordinances which you shall observe to do in the land which Yahweh, the God of your fathers, has given you to possess it, all the days that you live on the earth. You shall surely destroy all the places in which the nations that you shall dispossess served their gods, on the high mountains and on the hills and under every green tree, and you shall break down their altars and dash in the... Okay, I'm playing Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, and we just got the Pegasus boots, and, like, you have to dash at things.
Okay.
And that reminds me of that.
Well, and you do dash and break pottery, at least. So it's very
Yeah.
similar.
I mean,
in that game.
Link hates pots. We all know this, okay? Like, he absolutely hates pottery. He has to kill all of it, so... Okay, so that's kind
Very
of what God
scary.
is like telling people to do here.
Pottery phobic.
Yeah, exactly. He is like an aversion to them. Okay, so yeah, you shall break down their altars and dash in pieces their pillars, I say, and burn their Asherim. Asherim? What's an Asherim?
Yeah, Asherim, we did look this up a couple times, that Asherim was an image of a female deity that at some point in history in certain
was married
cultures,
to God?
was married to Yahweh, actually.
Okay, cool.
And then supposedly another writer came along kind of after the tone toward Asherim or Asher had changed and was like, no, Asherim's a witch. And we don't like her. A witch, and so we destroy anything that has to do with Asherim. So
Okay.
Brian, do you have anything to say about
Powerful women
Asherim
are
before
just-
I make a silly joke?
No, just that like there's this tendency in religion to sort of, or like Judeo-Christian religions, to play down women.
really?
The women,
Really?
but like, sorry,
Really? Excuse me?
I'm a full
Never
margarita
heard
in.
of that.
like that, like to play down sort of like women, like the divinity of women,
Yes.
and that like wisdom as a woman, like you see like feminine forms of God throughout the Hebrew Bible, and then it's sort of like, let's just like ignore that. And so this is, more of the same, of erasing women from the narrative.
Sad.
I just
Women
assumed that
eraser.
Asher or Asherim and Yahweh had a really bad breakup, and this has been the fallout of that.
I see. Yeah. That
Messy
makes sense.
divorce.
Messy divorce,
For sure.
You get
Jace, you were gonna make a really silly joke.
I was gonna
Again,
make
you kind of really previewed that it was going to be silly.
Up, I know. Well, I think it's not any good anymore. But I was going to make a joke about Asher being one of Santa's reindeer. I don't know. That's it. That's all.
It's cute. It's cute.
Thank you, Brian.
Good
Thank you for the pity
try.
laugh. I like that.
Yeah. Wow. Asher and Dancer and yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Yahweh and Vixen.
Yeah. Exactly. Love it.
Oh man.
So
Sorry, never mind. I
What?
was going to say let's
Rewrite?
redo that song with like the names of all the gods from the Old Testament. There's like Molech and Asher,
With Molech and
Yahweh.
Baal and Ishtar and Asher and
I don't know if we have quite
we're gonna
enough
have
to
to
make
figure
all
out
of
a
them.
better. Yeah, exactly. There were a lot of reindeer. Okay, as a professional caroler, I know how many reindeer there are, and it's a lot.
fine. Bring us back to the Bible then.
Yes. Okay. So, you shall dash in pieces their pillars
Dasher,
and burn
Dasher's
their
in
ash.
there too.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. That was
There it
bad.
is.
It was bad. I've had
All right.
too much of this. This orange thing is 9%, so it's kind of
Whoa.
Yeah,
I know.
it's
I want to
getting
get
me.
another glass of wine, but here we are. So they will burn their Asherim with fire, and you shall cut down the engraved images of their gods, and you shall destroy their name out of that place. You shall not do so to Yahweh your God. But
don't
By
get
the way,
the altars to
yeah.
Yahweh mixed up in that, please.
yeah, don't go crazy over here. Like, don't do that to Yahweh, but to everyone else. Cool. So, but to the place which Yahweh your God shall choose out of all your tribes, to put his name there, even to his habitation shall you seek, and there you shall come, and there you shall bring your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and the heave offering of your hand, and your vows.
Can we drink to heave offerings? It's been a while since we've done a heave offering.
I'm running out of wine. I need more.
I'm running out of margaritas.
I know, we may have to take a quick break to refill. And heave offering of your hand, and your vows, and your free will offerings, and the firstborn. Okay, I thought that they were going to be and your firstborn son.
No, that's what Molech does.
Yeah, exactly. And the firstborn of your herd and your flock, and there you shall eat before Yahweh your God, and you shall rejoice in all that you put your hand to, you and your households, in which Yahweh your God has blessed you. That was a long sentence.
Where did we? I've entirely lost my place. Where did you just end?
We're on 8. I'm about to start 8. We ended 7.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool. Thank you.
So, you shall not do after all the things that we do here this day. Every man, whatever, is right in his own eyes. For you haven't yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which Yahweh your God gives you. What did I just read? You shall not do after all the things that we do here on this day. Every man, whatever, is right in his own eyes. For you haven't yet come.
You can't do whatever it is that you think is right.
I see.
Because you're not there yet.
It's like Japanese. They put the things in the wrong places. Yeah. All right. But when you go over the Jordan and dwell in the land which Yahweh your God causes you to inherit, and he gives you the rest from all your enemies round about, so that you dwell in safety, then it shall happen that to the place which Yahweh your God shall choose to cause his name to dwell there, there shall you bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and your heave offering of your hand, and all your choice vows which you vow to Yahweh.
The choicest
vows. You shall rejoice before Yahweh your God, you and your sons and your daughters and your men servants. It's not man servant, it's men servants, I guess because there are multiple. And your maid servants. And the Levite who is within your gates, because he has no portion nor inheritance with you.
Well, it's interesting we've recapped that here.
I know.
The thing about the Levites not having land or whatever.
Inheritance, yeah. Take heed to yourself that you don't offer your burnt offerings in every place that you see.
I won't
That's
just
amazing.
do it
Don't just do it in random places. You got to do it in the place.
Wait, where are we supposed to do them then? Wait, so not just anywhere we see.
It's right. He's going to tell them. I'm about to say it.
Okay.
So, but in the place which Yahweh shall choose in one of your tribes, there you shall offer your burnt offerings, and there you shall do all that I command you.
Yes.
Notwithstanding, you may kill and eat flesh within all your gates. Wow, that is a lot. After all the desire of your soul, according to the blessing of Yahweh your God, which he has given you, the unclean and the clean may eat of it, as of the gazelle, and as of the hart.
That's a deer.
Hart.
Yes.
What's a
now
hart?
I'm lost.
It's a deer.
A
hart's a deer.
How do you know?
Because I was in an a cappella Renaissance quartet named Heart. And
what?
That's what we named ourselves.
That is some incredibly nerdy.
That's a great backstory
stuff.
Yeah, that's
Jason.
The best possible reason for you to know that.
It was in high school. We had a little a cappella sort of medieval / Renaissance quartet to sing in competitions, and we named ourselves Heart, like after the band Heart, but spelled heart like this, because in songs of that period, that's what they called a deer, and it was in the song we were singing. They talked about a heart.
Did you dress appropriately?
No, unfortunately we didn't. We just wore suits and dresses and
You dressed
stuff.
very inappropriately.
Yeah.
Okay.
Specifically, a heart is a male deer. though, just so you know.
Okay.
I
Great.
actually,
A heart in a doe.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Doe is a female deer.
It's a
Yes.
deer,
In case you
a
forgot.
female
Doe, a deer, a female deer.
Yes.
Correct.
heart, a male doe over 5, I think is technically what it means.
Jeez.
Okay.
Actually, I was going to make a
yes.
request to see another
Please.
translation of this verse because I am a little confused.
Which verse
about
is
what
this
it
one?
means. Verse 15.
This is, are we in
15.
12:15 now?
Yeah,
12,
we're in
15.
12. Let me see.
12:15. I gotcha.
Okay. Nevertheless, you may slaughter your animals in any of your towns and eat as much of the meat as you want, as if it were a gazelle or deer, according to the blessing the Lord has given you. Both the ceremonially unclean and clean may eat it. Okay.
Yeah, the
Thanks,
message
Niv.
the message is very similar. It says it's permissible to slaughter your non-sacrificial animals like gazelle and deer in your towns and eat all you want from them with the blessing of God, your God. Both the ritually clean and unclean may eat. So yeah, I think that's
Okay.
pretty straightforward. Is it just kind of clarifying like you can only sacrifice in these spots, but you can eat other stuff wherever. That's cool. Right?
But whatever,
see.
like a tapir or a hippo or a deer or whatever, like feel free to. Actually, hippo's probably unclean, right?
Probably, I think so. Yeah.
They didn't specify it, but maybe.
He didn't specify, but I would assume unclean. It
I don't know.
it feeds from like the rivers and stuff like that.
Do they have
And
cloven
I think-
hooves?
I don't know. I don't have hooves at all. They just kind of have like
I thought
elephant
that they have
feet.
flippers.
No,
have
they do. They do have. They don't have
flippers.
We
flippers.
have no idea what animals look like.
I think platypus.
I think you're thinking of a manatee.
No, I swear that I saw a baby hippo recently. Not like actually saw one, but like a picture of one, and it had like flippy feet. Exactly, Brad.
They have hippo feet. They have 4 toes on their feet with hooves covering each toe.
Whoa.
So I think this would
Wait,
count.
I can't even describe. I can't even picture that at all.
It's a cloven. Yeah, they look like they're actually really cute. If you Google hippo feet and just look at the image results, it's pretty adorable.
Okay.
Okay, so they're not flippy flappies.
They're not flippy flappies.
No.
Okay, all right. Where the hell was I?
16.
16. Only you shall not eat the blood. You shall pour it out on the earth as water. You may not eat within your gates the tithe of your grain, or your new wine, or of your oil, or the firstborn of your herd, or of your flock, nor any of your vows which you vow.
Yeah,
What?
things
You
that
can't
you
eat
have
them?
promised to Yahweh, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. I thought when you think of this in like a marriage sense, it's like don't eat your words or eat your vows.
I see. I like that. It's kind of a metaphor.
Very clever. Yeah.
That's what I thought. So, nor your free will offerings, nor the heave offering of your hand, but you shall eat them before Yahweh your God, in the place which Yahweh your God shall choose you, and your son, and your daughter, and your manservant, and your maidservant, and the Levite who is within your gates, and you shall rejoice before Yahweh your God all that you put your hand to. Okay. You had to say that multiple times.
Yeah. Gotta
Take
be pretty
heed.
clear.
Yes, absolutely. Take heed to yourself that you don't forsake the Levite as long as you live in your land. So don't don't hate the Levite that's like kind of leeching off of you because
Jeez, essentially.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. Yeah, Brian, we should probably let you in that we have sort of a whole conspiracy theory about the Levites. That this whole thing is kind of a grift. That Moses and the Levites have been playing on everyone to kind of like get all of the good stuff given to them without having to do any actual work to take care of anything.
they take a lot. They take care of the Ark of the Covenant and the tabernacle.
That's true. They do carry the Ark of the Covenant. Yes.
They have to assemble and deassemble.
Yeah, I mean, I think like if I remember correctly, Deuteronomy was like written by sort of like the religious elites or I mean, this is how it always is, right? But like especially Deuteronomy, so they're sort of like making the case for themselves. But then saying
well, there you go.
But then but Moses said, or it happened like a long time ago, or like this is how it's been.
Right.
And so they're sort of like creating this like, like epic origin story. Like, every good like, comic hero has an origin story. And so this is sort of like their origin story in some ways.
But also having to constantly reiterate, remember, they don't get any inheritance. They don't get any land. So that's why you need to take care of them. That is that constant reminder.
Yeah. There's also just sort of throughout the Hebrew Bible, like this emphasis on like taking care of people, and not just taking care of like people who look like you, but like taking care of the stranger and the immigrant and the foreigner. And so like there
has been a lot of that
like,
too. Yeah.
Meme.
Yeah, this is good things for people to remember nowadays.
It's very timely.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. So when Yahweh your God shall enlarge your border, as he has promised you, and you shall say, I will eat flesh. Ew. Sorry, the vegan in me is not okay with this. Because your soul desires to eat flesh. You may eat flesh after all the desire of your soul. If the place which Yahweh your God shall choose to put his name there be too far from you, then you shall kill of your herd and your flock which Yahweh has given you, as I have commanded you, and you may eat within your gates after all the desire of your soul.
Okay, so if the place where you can sacrifice is quote unquote too far from you, it's not clear how far counts as too far, then it's okay for you to sacrifice where you are.
Interesting.
Am I gathering that correctly?
But it seems like if you're too far from one of these sacrifice spots, then you get to eat it instead of sacrificing it.
Sacrificing it?
Because you don't get to eat it when you sacrifice it. Like the Levites get to eat it. But it seems like if you're too far, you can
But the
just eat
Levite
it.
that's living with you probably gets to eat it too.
I guess.
If there's one living with you, I assume just the answer is what I've been saying for years, which is just like move to the freaking mountains and don't interact with anybody, and then you get to eat your own sacrifices. So you heard it here first, folks.
Okay. There's the religion of Dedeker. Just go out into the mountains by yourself.
Perfect. Even as the gazelle and as the hart is eaten, the hart meaning the deer, is eaten, so you shall eat of it. The unclean and the clean may eat of it alike. Only be sure that you don't eat the blood, for the blood is the life, and you shall not eat the life within the flesh.
Yeah,
Ew.
I like how we have to drive this home twice. It's like, but
yeah, don't. You we know that you like it, but don't you eat it. Don't. So you shall not eat it. You shall pour it on the earth as water. How many times does he have to say this? You shall not eat it, that may go well with you and with your children after you, when you shall do that which is right in the eyes of Yahweh. Only your holy things which you have and your vows you shall take, and go to the place which Yahweh shall choose. And you shall offer your burnt offerings, the flesh and the blood, and on the altar of Yahweh your God, and on the blood of your sacrifices shall be poured out on the altar of Yahweh your God, and you shall eat the flesh. Observe and hear all these words which I command you, that it may go well with you, and with your children after you forever, when you do that which is good and right in the eyes of Yahweh your God. When Yahweh your God shall cut off the nations from before you, where you go in to dispossess them, and you dispossess them and dwell in their land, take heed to yourself that you not be ensnared to follow them after they are destroyed from before you, and that you not inquire after their gods, saying, how do these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise.
Don't do it.
What?
It's funny because up to this point, all the imagery has been about being like straying from the path and being kind of led into temptation by these other gods. But I do like this different image of just kind of like this very intellectual inquiry of like, I'm going to inquire after these gods. Oh, Molech, paging Molech. How do these nations do? How do these nations serve you?
No,
yeah,
don't
exactly.
do it. Don't do it. It's very clear here.
But this, like, I know is like weird and random, but it also like reminds me of today, and so I think this is true for like I think all marginalized communities. So like the Hebrew people in this time and place, right, are like super marginalized, and so it's tempting to read this as like Christianity is like appropriated the Hebrew Bible and Christianity is in control of everything and uses it to control people. But like at the time they were this like oppressed minority. And so it like reminds me of like conversations that we have in like the LGBT community around like what you like should and shouldn't do. And like, how do we define our community and like, what does it mean to be queer or poly or black? Like, you know, what are our priorities? And we were talking about some multi-amory, like, should we go and like try and assimilate into like gay marriage and sort of in the patriarchy? You're like, they're talking about, you know, don't go and like be tempted to like get ensnared to follow them. Right. That like, there's like this sort of like warning of like, this is sort of like who we are. And like, I know that life sucks, but like, we have to believe that there's like this sort of like bigger thing going for us, and we can't get like trapped in the sort of like oppressors.
Interesting.
All right, Brian, that's fair. That is a different,
kind of blown my mind a little bit.
Maybe healthier perspective.
Yeah, you've blown my mind a little bit right now, because I think, like, okay, a piece of advice we were given over a year ago about approaching the Bible was to leave our baggage behind and then just go in and try to read this and see what's here. And I'm realizing that one area that we have not necessarily been doing that is, I think we've been seeing this like institution of the Hebrews in the same way we think about the institution of Christianity being the thing that's in power, being being the empire, right? Being the Holy Roman Empire or whatever that is today. And
or Mike Pence,
right?
Yeah.
Instead of realizing that, like, it's hard when there's passages that talk about how many freaking hundreds of thousands of people they have, to think of them as a minority or as a disenfranchised people. But as we've talked about before, maybe those numbers are not actually accurate.
Not real.
They're not quite the same type of numbers that we have today.
Yeah.
But this idea of like, God, shit, I want to go back and re-record like our last months of episodes. But
we're not going to do that.
We're not going to do that.
No.
Sorry, everybody. We're not going to do that. But if we were to think about all of this from the point of view of a disenfranchised people, then there's still some problematic things in this. But
totally.
But the overall message of going and like, Yahweh is going to give you the power to take the land from these forces that are mightier than you is maybe an empowering message, as opposed to what it has felt like to us before, which is a very imperialist message.
They're the ones who are oppressing rather than those who are oppressed.
Because
like, and there's also,
you know, like modern day empires use this justification of like, well, God says it's okay for us to go take these lands, so we're going to go take it. Which is very different which is very different from a marginalized people saying like, hey, you know, Yahweh or whatever our power is going to help us conquer something that seems too big for us. Sorry, my mind's kind of blown right now.
Yeah. the historical context is like super important. And then also like in this passage and elsewhere, like part of it is just sort of like being like, I don't know, like you like puff up your chest and like, is try and like make yourself seem bigger than you are, or like, you know, you get picked on and so you create this like epic backstory about how like you've got like your dad's got a Lamborghini, or like you've got this hot girlfriend in Canada, or like whatever it is, right? Like
my girlfriend who lives in Canada. Yeah, totally.
That like there's like some amount of like trying to like realizing like I'm in a crappy place and trying to sort of like rewrite the narrative here and saying like, no, there's like, we were great before and like, therefore we can be great again, and like, don't lose hope. Even if it's a little,
not
like,
in the Make America Great Again way.
But not in the Make America Great Again way. Absolutely not.
Gosh.
No, that does make a lot of sense. Like, because on our other podcast, we talk about how it's like there's some very intense, you know, heteronormative forces that will try to kind of push you away from who you feel like you really are. And it's really important to make sure that you stick to who it is that you really are, even though it's tempting and maybe it seems like it'll be an easier quality of life to kind of give in to that kind of social pressure. So yeah, okay, fine. I'm with you, Jace. Let's go re-record this whole podcast.
I think the element of surprise would be taken out for me, at least.
You're right.
I'm just saying, let's continue forward now with
Okay.
these fresh eyes. How about
All
that?
right.
Okay.
With
Yes,
this new
love it.
revelation. And why don't
Love
I
it.
finish this dang chapter? Okay. Where was I?
30?
31?
31?
30?
30.
31?
31.
31. Yes.
You shall not do so to Yahweh your God, for every abomination to Yahweh which he hates have they done to their gods. For even their sons and their daughters do they burn in the fire to their gods.
That's that shit we were
It's that
talking
Molech
about.
stuff.
Molech loves those baby burnings.
Yeah. Whatever thing I command you, that shall you observe to do. You shall not add thereto, nor diminish from it. And seen, says God. Or Moses, rather. Cool.
All right,
you're
Brian, do you want to continue us with Deuteronomy 13? Have you got
Here
you've got the
I-
right translation up?
I've got the public domain, the GitHub version of the Bible.
I love that. The GitHub of the Bible.
Okay, Deuteronomy 13. If there arise in the midst of you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and he give you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spoke to you, saying, let us go after other gods, which you have not known, and let us serve them.
think
You
this
shall
is
not listen
gonna
to
go
the
bad.
words of that prophet, or to that dreamer of dreams, for Yahweh your God proves you, to know whether you love Yahweh your God with all your heart and with all your soul.
Okay,
Wow.
so it's like
Prophet
even
and dreamer of dreams, yeah.
Like Joseph,
Even if-
amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Right.
Yes, even if he
Yeah.
pulls a Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat and it all comes true, but it's him trying to sway you toward other gods, then don't believe him. Yeah?
Then not
Yeah.
at all.
Just don't.
Okay. Just don't. Got it.
Yep. So then you shall walk after Yahweh your God and fear him and keep his commandments and obey his voice, and you shall serve him and cleave to him. Cleave.
Now you're thinking of cuddling, right?
No, I'm thinking of
Cuddling with
cleavage.
God.
Oh, Emily's thinking of
That-
cleavage, and I'm thinking of cuddling. Sure.
You know, cleave. Yeah,
Turning gender stereotypes on their head.
I know. Well, yeah, well.
That's what
That's
Emily and
sexual
I like
awareness
to
day,
do.
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
That prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death.
Of course.
Classic.
0 to 100.
Classic Yahweh. Oh, man.
Because
Called
he
it.
has spoken rebellion against Yahweh your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of bondage. House of bondage, to draw you aside.
Jeez.
Whoa.
There's definitely a BDSM club somewhere in some.
I hope so.
And,
That actually
near
is
the
a,
River
that
Jordan.
actually is a thing, like Christian, like domination, submission.
Yeah,
BDSM.
there's the whole
There's
like
Oh,
like the
really?
like very like bondagey, leathery nun kind of
What?
imagery that comes up. Have you not
Yeah,
seen that
yeah,
kind of
and,
stuff?
like,
Oh, I guess it was on an episode of Euphoria. Yeah.
some like kinky conservative Christians take like wives submit to your husbands to like a kinky place, and it's like
Oh,
it's a
okay.
whole. It's an episode for another day.
Yeah.
Maybe for the bonus.
To draw you aside redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to draw you aside out of the way which Yahweh your God commanded you to walk in. So you shall put away the evil from the midst of you. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your
What?
bosom,
Yeah. What? The wife of your bosom?
What does that mean?
Wait. Okay. Wait.
Okay, I gotta ask. What does the message say?
I'm looking it up.
There's no way the message is gonna say the wife of your bosom. It's gotta say something
Is this? Wait.
more understandable.
Is this on 8? Oh no, this is 6. If your very own brother or your son or your daughter or the wife you love or your closest friend secretly entices you, etc., etc.
Okay, the wife you hate is fine. We don't care about that wife.
But the one
because
you
there
love.
was
you love.
people had multiple wives back in.
It's
There you
true.
go. See.
Yeah, so your
can I-
favorite wife.
Can I clarify some things by
Message it?
reading some Tyndale?
Oh, please.
Yeah, that's going to be really clarifying.
Brian, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Tyndale Bible.
But it's amazing.
It's amazing. I'm going to read to you the translation here. If thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thine own son, or thy daughter, or the wife that lieth in thy bosom, or thy friend, which is as thine own soul unto thee, entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve strange gods, which thou hast not known, nor yet thy fathers.
Oh, strange goddess.
Strange goddess.
Stay away from them.
Amazing. Okay, but you didn't even finish the line, so bosom, right?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Where are we?
Or we were at 6. We can just start at 6.
If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend, who is your own soul, entice you secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, you nor your fathers, of the gods of the other peoples who are round about you, near to you, or far off from you, from the one end of the earth, even to the other end of the earth. You shall not consent to him, nor listen to him, neither shall your eye pity him, neither shall you spare, neither shall you conceal him, but you shall surely kill him.
Whoa, okay. Jeez.
I was thinking like, oh, my mom used to say like, if so-and-so jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? But
It's like if so-and-so
She never
jumped
said
off a bridge,
kill them.
would you kill them?
would you kill him?
Okay, it's very different from the allegory or the parallel we were making earlier, where it's like, yeah, if you're trying to live some kind of counterculture or non-mainstream existence and someone's like, you don't need to be gay, or I don't really believe in that gender identity. It's like being like, you should kill that person.
Yeah, jeez.
It does. It really swings between the extremes of like, we're the oppressed people to like, also we're going to kill anyone who's different from us.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But that's also like a thing, right? Like, you know, queers bash back is like not like it's like a mainstream thing, or like die cis scum, right? That's like,
Interesting.
like, I think it's like an understandable reaction to be like,
That's true. Yeah, that's true. To kind of throw that anger right back at, yeah. All
Right? Okay. Even if
know,
it
like,
might
hopefully
not be the
it gets-
healthiest thing, but
right, totally. And then
Look at you,
like-
Brian. You're making us totally be okay with like, yeah, kill that person. Yeah, reasonable.
all right,
Yeah,
fine,
totally.
let's kill him.
Okay.
Or at least
Understandable.
it's good for a perspective. It's an understanding perspective
I'm
on
not-
like,
yeah, I'm
this
not-
is why these things were written in this manner.
like definitely don't like advocate murder, but I do think about like, you know, queer folks who are like relentlessly bullied and then like lash back out. There was like a case recently where like, you know, like this kid like I think stabbed someone who had been just like mercilessly bullying him for like months, and so it's like, where do you like, how do like what is violence and who's doing the violence, and
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So surely kill him.
yeah, but also like I think maybe there's a better way.
Right.
Neither shall you spit. Your hand shall be first on him to put him to death.
Gosh.
And
So don't
brute.
Don't let
don't
anyone
even
get to you
outsource
first.
it to anyone.
Yeah.
Push him out of the way and kill him.
Yeah. And afterwards they hand of all the people, so it's like a gang murder.
Right. But you have to start it.
Goodness. Yeah, you better start it, man. Jeez.
You shall stone him to death with. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you have
No.
something?
No. Yes, we're stoning. We love stonings. We're super into those.
You shall stone him to death with stones, because he has sought to draw you away from Yahweh your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. All Israel shall hear and fear, and shall not do to any more such wickedness as is in the midst of you. If you shall hear tell concerning one of your cities, which Yahweh your God gives you to dwell there, saying, certain base fellows are gone out from the midst of you, and have drawn away the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known. Then you shall inquire and make search and ask diligently, and behold, if it be truth, and the thing certain that such abomination is done in the midst of you, you shall surely strike the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle of it with the edge of the sword.
What?
Boy, oh boy. I feel like this.
There's some run-on sentences here too.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
for sure.
Yeah, a couple here and there.
Okay, it feels like you could use something like that as a justification for, like, if someone, say California, wants to secede from the Union because we're like, the way America's going is effed up, that you could say, no, the Bible says we have to kill you with swords. Is that it kind of feels like you could twist this that way, right? Based on a different context?
I mean, I'd believe it. I think if California does try to secede, someone would try to kill us with swords.
Texas.
That's probably
I don't know.
I don't know if they would.
So I think like,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, that's just like, so there's people, there's this like idea that like the Bible says this or the Bible says that, and there's like this, the Bible says like one consistent thing. And so like the Bible is God's people sort of like wrestling with who they are and what their place is and how they relate to each other and to the divine. And so they're sort of like working all this out in real time, while also like being like brutally oppressed. And so this is sort of like one take on it, and you'll see other takes throughout it. And it doesn't necessarily say like, this is the right way or this is the wrong way. It's sort of like, in this moment, this is how we feel. In this moment, this is how we feel. And like, what do you then, it's up to us to do the work to sort through all of that and like figure out like, what's the right path forward.
And that is such a different way of approaching the Bible than the way I think most of us were taught. Is that it's like, look at what they did and do that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we were talking about like you trying to like not bring your baggage to the podcast, but like, and we were talking about this on Multiamory, that like everyone has baggage that they bring to everything. And so, but like a certain type of Christian has spent the last few decades convincing everyone that like their read of the Bible is the objective way and everyone else's is wrong. But like, it's like very actually like only within the past 100 years that a lot of these ideas have come up. And so like naming, just like with journalism, like naming your baggage or your perspective or your biases, I think like is a critical part of engaging with the text, and we all have it. And so what are they? And like, are we the oppressor or are we the oppressed? And what do we do with that?
It's a great question to ask all of ourselves.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You shall gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the street of it, and shall burn with fire the city.
Wow.
And all the spoil of it, every whit to Yahweh your God. Your whit.
Every whit.
Every whit. And it shall be a heap forever. It shall not be built again.
Jeez.
I'm sorry. That's a lot right there. Like, just burn it to the ground and it shall be a heap of burn forever. Yikes.
Don't build nothing there ever again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that word? The wit?
Every whit of it.
Every whit.
Every whit.
Every wit begins with
W.
I keep thinking jot and tittle.
Yeah, it's the same meaning. A whit means a very small part or amount. Yeah.
Oh.
Every jot and tittle. Yeah,
Oh, okay. So every little thing she does
Every
is
little
magic.
last
Every little bit.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Every little bit of it got to burn it up. Okay. Okay.
There shall cleave nothing of the devoted thing to your hand, that Yahweh may turn from the fierceness of his anger and show you mercy and have compassion on you and multiply you as he has sworn to your fathers, when you shall listen to the voice of Yahweh your God to keep all of his commandments, which I command you this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of Yahweh your God.
Amazing.
Wow. We did it. We made it. Woo! Made it to the end.
That was a lot. That was a lot.
Yeah, my goodness. So this is usually the part where we try to predict what's going to happen next.
More of the same. I'm assuming Moses is going to go on his little rant for a little while longer and then eventually die. Is he dying in this book?
I think he dies at the end.
He has to.
Yeah.
He has to.
Okay. I get it. I'm getting
Spoiler
a nod.
alert.
I'm excited.
Spoiler alert.
I mean, that sounds terrible. I'm excited for Moses' death, but no, he just like, it's been teased for a while. So I want to see them get to Canaan, except for Moses. And because Moses is not going, that means that he's going to perish before they get there.
It's like Lord of the Rings. It just keeps ending over and over and over again. again.
Yeah. Except for then, there's a lot of other books of this dang big old damn book.
Right, but Emily,
there's
it's like
many, many more quests.
It's like we were talking about last time, where if you think of it rather than these books are all chapters of one book, it's more like these are all individual installments in the Babysitter's Club or, the Star Wars extended universe or whatever. Like they're grouped together into little groups. Like this one has been grouped together with Exodus and Numbers, but like not necessarily.
Did you read the Boxcar Children?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh my
Heck
God,
yes.
I loved it. Okay.
Were they like low-key Christian books?
Oh, I don't
Were they?
I guess it's sneaky.
I'm going to let you all answer that question. I don't know. The only thing that I remember is that they put like bottles of milk in the river to keep it cold because they didn't have a refrigerator.
I don't remember
For whatever
that at all.
reason that stuck in my head
that sounds
for
Christian.
friggin' 25 years or whatever.
I just remember that it was all the books were in my school's library, my Christian school's library, and most of the books in there pretty much were either Christian books or most of them were pretty much like very clearly either the content itself is Christian or the author is clearly Christian. And so I feel like the Boxcar Children wouldn't be in there if there wasn't some kind of Christianity involved.
Chronicles of
All right,
Narnia.
well, it went,
Right,
it sailed
exactly.
over my head if that were the case.
Dude, they were originally published in 1924. That's how old
What?
the Boxcar Children are. That is how old it is.
Wow. I had no
1924.
idea.
I think they were like all kids that were like homeless, basically.
Well, they lived in
Right.
a boxcar, right?
That was the premise.
So actually, they were.
No, that was just the first. It was only in the first book that they were the Boxcar Children. It was only in the first book that they were these homeless kids living in a boxcar, and then they got adopted by like their weird rich uncle or something.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so then it became.
I do
frickin'
remember
Annie
that.
or something.
And then it
Yes.
becomes Annie. You're right. Annie was one of the Boxcar Children. We've just made the crossover.
No. It was their grandfather. Their grandfather was a steel baron. Their
Boy.
grandfather was a freaking colonizer, colonizer capitalist who adopted them.
Wow. Of
Okay.
course.
Well, I'm excited.
Anyway, yes, this is exactly like the Boxcar Children. You're
Exactly like
correct.
that. You're right.
Thank you. So we wanted to take a second and thank our lovely patron, Sam, and give you a toast for being a $12 patron. Sam, we do love you. We know you. You're a friend of ours. And thank you so much for your support. This is really unexpected, actually. We so appreciate it. Thank you for being a part of this for us.
Yeah.
And cheers to you.
Dolphins.
Clinky, everyone. Clinky.
Dolphins to you. Cheers.
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 I suppose that you know what that means. I don't know what that means, but cool.
For
Dolphins.
those of you who are listening, if you also want a personalized toast on the show, you can sign up to become one of our parishioners at our Patreon. Thank you for joining us for Bible study today. If you want even more Drunk Bible Study, including ad-free episodes, early releases, personal toasts on the show, and more, become one of our patrons at patreon.com/drunkbiblestudy. If you enjoy the show, take a moment to subscribe and then write us a nice review on iTunes or Stitcher, letting other people know what you like about it. Find us on Twitter at DrunkBibleCast, on Instagram at Drunk Bible Study, or send us an email to info@drunkbiblestudy.com. Drunk Bible Study is created and produced by Jace Lindgren, Emily Matlack, and me, Dedeker Winston. Our theme song is Book Club by Josh and Anand from their album Home of the. The theme song for the Book of Deuteronomy is Truth in the Stones by Kevin MacLeod. For more information, visit us at drunkbiblestudy.com.